Good afternoon and welcome to Through the Static. This is Stephen the Medium. I am your host, and with me is my co-host,
Coach Elix.
Coach Elix is here, and Mark is here producing the show. And of course, I'm just always excited and giddy when I get to do this today on Wednesday at 5 o'clock Through the Static, because I love doing this. So before I get into anything, let me just make sure everybody's aware that every year since I've been doing the show, and Mark who produces my show, both of us, we started a week apart. He started a week ahead of me, and it was really cool because we had to come into the studio, to the station, and present to the manager what our show would be about, the theme of the show, and then I think they have to bring it to the board and get approved. So Mark and I didn't know each other, but we were in the same conference room that particular night, and lo and behold, we both got our shows on. His is Mark's Jukebox, which you should check out, 3 to 5, and then my show comes on. But Mark produces my show and produces Elix's show, and Elix and I swap roles. That it's Elix's show through Get a Grip with Coach Elix, and I guess I was mixing both shows up, and I am the co-host there. So Mark and I started July 25th, so he must have started the 18th, and in 2018. So we're approaching our 4th year. But in any case, every summer I always do a show that I have people calling in if they like, but it's just talk spirit. This is not a show of doing readings. I'm not doing readings, so I want to make sure everyone's clear on that. No readings today. Every 51 weeks out of the year when I do the show, it's readings, and this one is not. So just to make sure everyone's clear. But why I love doing it is because I love hearing about people's experiences, if they've had connections with spirit, or just calling for any questions. And I teach class, and this year I've taught the most classes I have, and the questions from the students and everything I've learned, I think it's a great show just to also give people listening tips, how they can connect with spirit, what they can do, like just so much that I've learned that I want to share with people today. So how's that sound, Elix?
It sounds absolutely awesome.
Listen, you got a medium here. You can call, you can ask questions if you've had experiences, anything you want to ask me. Just call me, 508-222-1320. Next Wednesday, I will resume doing readings. But today, I just want to share my information and answer any questions. So, Elix, tell everybody what's going on with you.
What's going on with me is that I am super, super excited that our next episode of Steelix the Series is coming on tomorrow.
So, if people don't know... I'm sorry, Elix.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if people don't know what Elix is talking about, is that Elix and I started Steelix the Series. So we combined both our names, and Steelix it is. And right now on YouTube, it's under my channel, Stephen the Medium. Go subscribe. There's already 2 episodes. This is the 3rd episode that's dropping. They always drop Thursdays at 8 p.m. when they do drop that particular week. So go there. Subscribe so you get a notification, and Thursday at 8 p.m. you are going to be so impressed with this episode. Everyone kept asking for the episodes to be longer, so we did that. And, Michelle, who is our producer, editor, that does everything for us in California, she's brilliant, right?
She's absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. We're very lucky to have her.
So what else is going on besides this amazing news of tomorrow night?
Let's see. I'm just, honestly, I am so blessed because I got so much work and so many clients, and but at the same time, so I'm blessed because I got a lot of work, but at the same time, it's, I find myself with a lot of work. And sometimes I end up the day being completely exhausted.
I see that a lot of days.
I know. But again, I'm not sharing this as a complaint because I'm super grateful and so blessed to be doing what I'm doing. It's just a reminder for me that I always have to make sure that I remind myself that I gotta take good care of myself.
And I always remind you also to do that. And to when you look at the bigger picture, Elix, and you coming to me like 10 years ago, whatever the case may be, and just said, having this like very high paying corporate job in the healthcare industry, and just not loving what you were doing at all, and just coming to me and say, what would you think if I left what I'm doing and started my own executive coaching business? And it may be tough because I'm starting out and with the money, and I just remember saying to you, you need to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm reminded of what would the alternative be, and the truth is, the alternative was perhaps no different than what I'm doing today in terms of the amount of work. The difference is that I'm working for myself. I am not working for anyone else, and I was able to build a business from the ground up. And I am doing something that I love and that really fulfills me in every aspect possible.
Well, you're when you finish a day and you're really tired. I mean, you coach doctors, executives, like you've got like a whole variety, right? Which is just incredible. But when you have one of those long days, even when you come into the bedroom or downstairs to the living room, whatever it is, and you're exhausted, it's still different than the exhaustion you had when you were in corporate America. You still have that tired but glowing face, and because I know the lives you're changing and what you're doing, and this is what you love, so it's not really work. But I mean, you show me some emails that people send to you, which is just mind-blowing, of thanking you and how you really have changed lives.
Well, but and I was going to say, in that regard, I think there's so many similarities in what we do, because like when you read people, your energies, it gets drained, right? Because you're reading people, you are doing something to better, to better their lives through what spirit shares with you. For me, is the same. I feel that my energy is drained because I'm listening, I'm holding on to whatever it is that it's getting in their way. Like I hold the space for them, and so that drains my energy. So sure. I have to make sure that I'm very cognizant of that.
Yeah, I completely agree. But the fact that next April will be 30 years that we've been together, and that our lives have grown so much from April 8th, 1993. But the amazing thing, Elix, is that they've grown parallel. Both of our lives have just expanded into our lanes, in our passion, in our purpose. But those, and maybe that's why they're parallel, because we've both found our passion and purpose. Maybe I never thought of it. Maybe that's the reason. All I know is that going on 30 years, and I wouldn't give this almost 30 years up for anything.
For anything, absolutely. No. I would totally agree with you. So,
and along the ride of just meeting some amazing people, on Facebook Live, I just saw, I can't remember if it, Jeannie or Teresa, the sisters that I used to see in Worcester. They worked in Worcester for many, many years in Worcester Probate. And I was just thinking that when I saw the comment and they're getting their nails done and listening to the show, we've been so blessed to meet these incredible people. Those two are so incredible, and they left court. They both retired, and the fact though that I still have a great relationship with them. Well, I mean, so do you now. It's that's what life's all about. It's just all worth it, It definitely is. And let me just say, before I take a break, before I finish anything, I got to give the biggest shout out to my Blondie Debbie Squizero, another medium who Elix and I fell in love with. I love this woman. She was over last Friday for dinner. Sunday we did the Facebook Live, my first Facebook Live with any medium, because I am really particular. Even when people ask me for referrals, you never get referrals out of me, because I take this so seriously and ethically, what I do as a medium. I use the same ethics as an attorney and use the same thing. And I knew she was in my same category. She's a brilliant medium. She's funny. She's caring. She's compassionate. But her energy, Elix, it just breaks boundaries. And that was like the funnest Sunday night. So if you haven't checked that out, go to either Facebook or YouTube. If you're not on social media, just go to my YouTube channel, Stephen the Medium, and you can check it out. Right, Elix? It was great.
I could not agree with you anymore. She is absolutely fabulous, and I really think the two of you have some really powerful, beautiful synergistic energy.
Yeah, and I know we've got a lot to come going forward, and I'm looking forward to that. I just adore that woman. So, all right, so you know what? We're going to come back. I'm going to take a break. So 508-222-1320, and we're going to talk all things spirit. Again, I'm not doing readings this show, because this is really just about spirit. I want to hear any experiences, any questions you have, and for me to share what I've learned up until this point. So we'll be right back. Good afternoon and welcome back to Through the Static. This is Stephen the Medium with my co-host is right beside me. Not physically, but he's not that far. He's like one flight down, right?
That's it.
Oh, that's clear. That's it. And who are you?
I'm your husband, your co-host, Coach Elix.
That is correct. So today is the 1 week of 52 weeks on my show that I do not do readings. I open the phones for anybody who wants to call, who wants to chat with me, who has questions, tell me experiences. But I'm really excited about the show because after 6-7 years, I have learned a lot. As a matter of fact, I did an introductory class, a mediumship class that I taught, I think 2.5 years ago, and I just taught it. I just finished last week. Was the last class, but I revised and revamped the entire thing because in those years I learned so much, which is pretty cool. So, so I'm gonna, if there are calls, I will take them. But I will just start with this: is that one thing that in all my readings and when I do group readings. A lot of people, will just obviously will come up to me and talk to me. And a lot of people will say that a lot of mediums and psychics will always say that everybody is intuitive. And one day, I don't know where I was, but I think it was a reading, And I said that. I was at the end of the reading. It was a Zoom call. And I remember this woman said to me, she said something. I said, well, you're connected because, everybody's intuitive. And she said to me, do you have 2 minutes? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a reading afterwards. I said, sure, shoot. She's like, what does that mean? What do I do with that statement? Everyone's intuitive. Do I clap and, I'm intuitive? What does that mean? What do I do? What do I do with it? Does that just mean I should be looking for signs? And I got to tell you, I loved that woman. I loved the question, and I love that she asked about that. Because I think everyone, everyone's intuitive. But what do you do with it? And, I just thought about the answer to that. And I just thought, you know what? It's the same thing about, a young child who is talented like nobody else is talented, say playing the piano, that is a prodigy that could if they practiced they could play any place in the world, they would be recognized, but if they don't put their fingers on piano keys, nothing moves forward. So I thought that's a great analogy for everybody's intuitive. Sure, you're intuitive and you can connect to spirit, but if you don't have that intention, if you don't know about the energy, if you don't know about the observing signs and where spirit comes from and the signs they give, exactly that woman asked, everyone's intuitive, what do I do with that? Well, you may not do anything with it, or you may become a medium like myself. That's sort of the stretch here. It's just pretty incredible. Are there any calls, Mark? Okay, let's bring them on. Hi, this is Steven. Who's this? Hello? Hi, what's your name? Jenny? Hi, Jenny. How are you? What? I'm handsome? Thank you, Jenny. What? Maybe that was spirit. Hi, this is Steven. Who's this? Hello?
Hi, Steven.
Hi, who's this? I can hear you.
What? This is Bernie.
Hey, Bernie, how are you?
Bernie!
For everybody who is listening, Bernie is talking about intuitive, under the spirit umbrella, all these different gifts. Clearly, Bernie has got that and has recognized that, because Bernie, there's some times that you just throw out something out of nowhere. I get a message from you and it's on point.
Yeah, but there's certain people that you get a very clear connection with, and I asked God to help me help other mediums. And for you, when that David came through, I said, Dave, can you take a David 30? And you're like, yeah, I got a friend, Dave 30. The big one was, I was on my way to Tai Chi. I wanted to talk about you and Debbie. I was on my way to Tai Chi, and I gave you that reading about the capybara and all that.
Yes.
You said right. But then you were talking about you had a client and you were doing a reading on Through the Static, and you said that they had a wedding ring that was made into a piece of jewelry that was no longer a wedding ring, and the person that said, yes, I have a wedding ring that was made into a pendant, blah, 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 right?
Right.
Well, I sit with Kathleen Hoffman on Zoom every Wednesday night, and we had psychic class. At the time, I was going in person, and we did psychometry that night. I reach in the basket, and I get a wedding ring that was made into another piece of jewelry.
Oh my God!
A pendant. Now, I've been hiking in the woods. I saw a bunch of deer skeletons. And then I have another medium friend named Winterbrook Ryan from Long Island, and I communicated to her that day. So I read the lady, and I said, so this is a piece of jewelry that used to be a wedding ring. I said, you have a husband in spirit that used to be a deer hunter from Long Island.
I love that. Wow, Bernie. And for anybody that doesn't know what psychometry is, it's just when you hold something and you read the energy. Bernie, I'm just curious though, based on, clearly you were really, really connected. So just based on what your experience has been in the spirit world, if someone approached you, and maybe they probably have, and just said to you, like Bernie, how do I do this? Like, how do I connect? How can I start? Like, what would you tell somebody?
I would tell them what everybody else tells them is that you're already communicating. Like, when you have dreams and you have loved ones come in dreams, that's real. That's how I knew your David came to me in a dream. I dreamt he was table tipping with me at the Onset Church. And then I dreamt Maureen Hancock opened a spirit center, right? On Hancock Street in Quincy. And I go in there, and she looks at me, and she goes, she's talking to these two women, and it turned out they're my old girlfriends, right? And they're in spirit, and I kid you not, right? And she turns around, and she looks at me, and she goes, Dave's back. And when she said Dave's back, that's how I got the name Dave for the guy I was table tipping, and that's all. And then I knew it was for you somehow. I don't know how I figured that out, but. So
that's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing, Bernie, because that was my best friend who in 1997 committed suicide.
Well, I didn't know that till now, but that's pretty crazy. I saw it on Facebook or something that you had a tribute to him, and I go, that must be the Dave that came.
It is, yeah, and you were right on. You were right on point with that. But I love your response. I love the answer that you're already connected. I love that because it is, again, it's not starting from you're not behind the starting line. You're already past the starting line, right?
Well, I was reading a woman. I said every Wednesday, so there was a lady I was reading last Wednesday, and I pulled a card for her from John Holland's Psychic Tarot deck.
Right.
And it's Triumphant Success. It shows this young man standing on a mountain blowing on a horn. And I went direct to this lady, and I'm like, do you have a young man, that used to like to climb mountains? I'm just looking at the picture on the tarot card, and she did.
Wow. Well, I always, not to interrupt, Bernie, I always bow down to people that use tarot cards, and I know Debbie that I was just talking about is amazing too using, she does straight mediumship, but she also uses tarot cards, and there's just so much. There's so much in those cards, right?
Well, when I go on class, I'm able to table tip, pull cards, and write, and that gives me the names and the numbers, and it gives me... And they know I'm going to sit every Wednesday night. I was sitting in classes, and they tugged the hair on the back of my head a couple of times. Physically, I could feel them tugging on my hair. And they're starting to come. So I got to tell you, I had a guy, Jerry, come through last night, right? And I was wondering if that might belong to you. Do you have a Jerry?
No.
I do.
Yeah.
You do? Yeah, is he like a mechanic or a plumber or something like that? Because he's working on a drain. And like under a car with the hydraulics and stuff. So that... Anyway, I knew there was a reason I had a Jerry come through in my dream. If I used to see a famous person, like Sandra Bullock, I would know that it was a Sandra. But if I see Jerry the mechanic, I know that there's a reason they're showing me Jerry, and he's a mechanic.
It's funny because when you said Jerry, my ex names was is Jerry, but he's still here. But for some really odd reason, this other Jerry came to mind, and he was a coworker. that
Yeah.
worked with me when I worked at Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Stephen. That goes way, 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 way back.
Right.
And I used to ride with him to work because we worked in Boston, and he was a mechanic.
Yeah.
There you go,
See,
Bernie.
that's for you. Felix said that to me. I went to one of your shows, and I had a dream that there was some woman named Susan doing stuff for you guys, like making a birthday cake or something. And so after your show at the Elks Club, I'm standing there with Elix, and I go, Elix, do you have a Susan? And he looked at my wife, and he goes, this man's connected to the other side.
Bernie, that's I mean, it's amazing, and it's amazing that Elix also used that connection that he's got to remember this old. I mean, this was many years ago,
over 30 years. It's before our times together.
Well, yeah, exactly, and it's just I mean, for me, Bernie, to be honest, I don't think anything exists like before me. Before I met Elix, Elix's life and past doesn't exist. So there's that Jerry was not real.
Well,
so the one you
that's
validated
the
is real. The one he
That's
worked
the
with
first
is real.
thing that's the first thing they gave me for you was Steven 93. Remember?
Yeah,
I'm like, can you take Steven 93?
Bernie, I love it. I got to take a break. So this was Ben.
All
This
right.
has been such a great thing that you called. I'm so happy, Bernie. Tell your wife that we said hi, and I hope everything's going well.
Yeah, thank you, Steven.
Bye, Bernie.
We will talk soon.
God bless you, Elix.
Thank you,
you.
Bernie, and we will be right back. Elix, do you not love him?
He's so likable.
Yeah, he's so likable. It's gonna take a lot of love to get us through the night. That's what people tune in, right? To hear me sing?
Yes. Yes.
Through the Static is back. Stephen the Medium is the host. Coach Elix is my co-host, and you just heard that. Yes, he's here. You even can ask questions to Coach Elix. He's just open arms, right? So let me take a caller. Hi, this is Stephen.
Hey, Stephen, it's PM.
I didn't hear you. Who is this?
It's PM.
Hi, Pam. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good. Well, Pam, let me ask you something. Have you had any experiences with signs, with spirit, like through your life? Any connection? Do you believe in the connection?
I do. I always have.
And
I always
and
feel that.
what was that?
I always feel a connection somewhere.
Really? Like, give me an example of what you see.
Well, what I see, no, I don't see anything. But I believe in the numbers and the music and you and.
Well, I love that. Thank you. But that is, I said that, Pam, because you do see, like when you see those numbers, if you're talking about like maybe consecutive numbers or some loved one's favorite number, that's seeing, right? That's the connection, and that's what a lot of people. Yeah, that's what a lot of people don't get. Or like Bernie, the last caller, talked about the dreams that you have, but they're not really dreams. They're visits from our loved ones. But it's, Pam, one of the things that I always tell people and try to teach people is that, as I started the show off about saying how everybody's intuitive, it's that it's just a little tweak of how you tune in to spirit that opens the floodgates to see spirit. It's a great analogy also is learning. It's like spirit. It's like a different language. Like if you don't know, say, how to speak French, it would be very difficult if you just were put in a room with someone who speaks French and doesn't speak anything else trying to communicate, right? It would be very, very difficult. That's exactly the way it works with spirit. Can you learn French? Of course you can. And then it opens up the floodgates and opens up the doors and opens up the signs. That's sort of makes sense. But did you have any questions? Were you just calling to say hi?
I was calling to say hi and hoping for some kind of connection with someone. If they would come forward, I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean, so as I mentioned, this is the one and only show during the year that I don't do readings because it's just really about speaking about spirit. But next Wednesday, I will be back on. So just give a call.
All right. So when did you feel that you had something going? Right when you were young?
Yeah, Pam, I think you are way more connected than what you think, because I love telling people in a nutshell the story, because it really, why I love telling it is that I hope that people get that this can change and bring you into this different frequency at any age. It doesn't matter. So I had no idea I was a medium or psychic. I had absolutely no idea. I went to school. I'm an attorney. I'm living with Elix and just living my life. And in February 2010, Elix and I went to a medium here in Massachusetts, and it was a venue about 100 people. And on the drive in, I was, like most people do, going to a medium, is that they're praying and telling their loved ones come through. So I was telling him, I lost my dad at 8 years old. I was telling my dad, please, Dad, come through, push. I don't care, push every spirit, knock them down, just come through. I need to hear from you. And the medium came up to me. I was the first person and didn't give me a reading, Pam. Just said, you're a psychic and you don't know it. She turned around, she walked away, and then after a couple of years, everything started opening up. It was like the light switch went on, and once spirit knew, I knew that I was connected, even though I really didn't know. Everything started expanding, and I started seeing signs. But I got to be honest, Pam, it was that plus my love for it. I once I found out that there's a potential that I can hear dead people speak, I jumped into it, and thank God Elix bought me some courses, and I dove into it and just really practiced, and I got to the place where I am now. So it can happen. So many of these gifts for everybody lays dormant, and something can trigger it to open it up, like me. I mean, it's amazing. And all you got to do is really learn how to observe, look for the signs, know the signs, the typical signs of. Yeah, like coins are big, dreams are big. Like you said, numbers are big. Seeing them on license plates, seeing them on clocks, your phone, all that kind of stuff is just, it's all your loved ones, our loved ones in spirit want is to let us know that they're here, they're listening, they're watching, and they want, because they live vicariously through us, Pam.
Yeah. Well, I also learned something of recent that instead of every time something comes along, like the numbers or the music, instead of saying, "Oh, that's my brother," and it instead going, "Oh, that's my brother. What's he trying to say to me?" I'm looking at it differently, I should say. I
love that, Pam. See, I knew you were way connected, more connected than I think you even know. Is that yes, absolutely. That in in a class I'm actually preparing. That's really what this class is about. Is that like dive into it and just let surrender to it and let spirit know. And what I love about what you just asked or what you learned is that so many times our loved ones will come to us, and a lot of people will say to me, what's the message? What's the message? And I'm like, sometimes there's no message. Sometimes it's to wrap their messages, to wrap their arms around you and give you a big hug and kiss. But many times, like you just said about your brother, is that he may give you a sign when it's a week away from your mother's birthday or your birthday or his birthday or So yeah, I mean, it's thinking that way is just going to give you more connection, more information on that one particular sign. I love that you know that and you brought that up, Pam. That's pretty wild.
Actually, a friend of mine that just read my card said that to me, and it just connected.
Well, did she also tell you that you were really connected?
In a different way, yeah.
Well, the great thing is, Pam, every single person is different the way they're connected. When I did the live with Debbie on Sunday, you can even see the way we get to the same place, but the way we get there is different. We're all different, right? That's the connection. And the more you trust it and the more you believe in it, the more it just keeps opening up more and you get more signs. And I can't say 100% of people, but I would think the majority of people that have lost loved ones, one of the greatest things that we get to have in this life is signs from them, right? I mean...
Right. And you have to think of it as a positive sign and not a negative sign,
Yeah, absolutely. And remember this too, Pam, is that when we pass over, when we cross over, when we die, and every one of us are going to get there, right? But when it happens and we cross that threshold and we go into the white light, there is nothing except love in that place, in that environment. Nothing. So all the messages, and again, this is just my thought, my experience, my perspective, is that they don't have really the ability to give anything negative because they come from love. You may perceive something as negative, like, I do readings and a mom will say to the daughter that I'm reading, please tell my daughter I'm trying to help her stop smoking. You may think that's sort of like a negative thing, but it really isn't. But in my case, loved ones come through, and it's not their goal, their intention is never about bringing anything up negative, because that's not even in their frequency. It's not in their realm, because they're in this. I mean, imagine if you and I together, we both had meteorites just dropped on our heads and we both died at the same time and we crossed over. We would both I'd probably be holding your hand, Pam, and we'd probably cross over and be in this paradise. This beautiful, beautiful place that there's no stress, there's nothing but love. We'd be seeing all our loved ones. So if we're giving signs to our loved ones that are still here, it would make sense that it's just all, oh my God, I just want to share what's up here. Like it's all beautiful, it's all positive. Does that make sense?
I truly believe it.
Yeah, I mean that's what it's about.
Yeah.
It's all about that. And Pam, I think one of the greatest things that when we get signs, as much as we love knowing our mom, our brother, our husband, our wife, whoever it is, our dog, our cat is with us, but I think there's that little piece too that just gives us that I don't need to be as afraid as I may have been when I cross over or death, because what's waiting on the other side is a beautiful, beautiful place.
I believe it.
Yeah, I mean, all our loved ones are waiting, so that's how amazing it is. I got to take a break, Pam. Thank you so much for calling, and you know what? You can go to my website. You can tune back in next Wednesday for my show when I actually do reading. So, Pam, lots of love to you. Thank you for calling.
Thank you, Stephen, for taking my call.
I love it. Thank you, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Through the Static. This is Stephen the Medium with my co-host, Coach
Elix.
So, Elix, let me ask you something. When we met, as I mentioned, April 8th, 1993, there was nothing. There was no conversation about mediumship, psychic stuff, nothing, right? We met, we lived our lives, we moved forward, and then all of a sudden, because I talk about my story, but you're part of that story, like a big part of that story, and like what has your experience been?
Well, before you being exposed to spirit, I knew nothing either. I mean, I knew about mediums, but I never been to one, and I was, I had to learn and to grow along with you. I had no choice.
Well, I think, I'm the lucky, fortunate one, because I think, you did have a choice, and there's probably a chance that if I was with somebody else, that it wouldn't have went this way, because it was a lot that you dealt with my anxiety, with not knowing where these waves of energy are coming from, and all of this kind of stuff. And I think the greatest thing for me is that, like, this experience has pulled out like all your gifts, and you were so connected in many aspects, more connected than I am.
Well, I don't know about more connected than you are. I can't speak to spirit, but I have grown and I have learned, and I definitely feel more sensitive and self-aware of my surroundings. So I don't, like I've learned not to, when like signs, they're very easy to dismiss. Oh, I really didn't see that. And I've learned to stop and pay very close attention to when I feel I'm getting a sign.
I love that, and there are parts under the spirit umbrella that you are. I mean, you pick up people's energy, way faster than me in reference to knowing if it's good energy, bad energy. You do. I mean,
that is true.
You are head and shoulders over me. You are really, really quick, and I love that, because then you also become very protective over me, especially if I'm doing a big group, which I love. But it's pretty amazing how far also your understanding of your gifts have come too, which is really cool. So I just love getting to see that.
I agree with that. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It sounded like you were caught with me. Yes, I agree with that. Yes. Like I have someone on the witness stand. Isn't it true? Yes, I agree with that.
Well, but in any case, it is like being in court with you. That's what life looks like.
Come
yes,
on.
It is, Judge Judy.
So I know I just can't believe the show is just gone by so fast, and not even doing readings. But one thing for people to hear, I brought this up. I don't know when I brought this up on a live. I'm not really sure. I think I did. Maybe I brought it up Sunday or so. But if you get first of all, people always ask me, how do I get my information? How do I when I'm reading, how do I get that? Michelle just asked me that. Michelle, who produces and edits our Steelix the series show. And I said, that's the $1 million question, and I don't have the answer, because it changes every single time I do a reading. Sometimes I just know. Sometimes I see it. Sometimes I hear it, which is the case for many mediums, right? That we just don't know. But I will tell you this. There's a couple of things. That, one, we're not in the same place we were 20 years ago, maybe even 15 years ago with spirit. The energy is so much bigger than it was. And the veil, I think there's more openings in the veils. That there's more portals, meaning that like the veil is what separates us from the spirit world. And there's almost like portals. There's doors. I teach about that in my class. And then the portals are where spirit goes in and out, and we actually can go in and out on their side too. But there's more portals, and then you would say, well, doesn't that mean that more people will be getting signs and seeing things? You would think that, and people do, but because there's so much more energy, there's also so many more energy pockets and so many places that we can get, like they're all different energy pockets and all different frequencies that we can fall into. And, if you're missing your dad because your dad passed away and it's his birthday today, and for the entire day or a majority of the day you have been sad and you've been crying, it is virtually impossible to get a sign from him, because you're in a completely different frequency than he is. He's trying like heck to get a sign to you. You want a sign from him, but it's very, very difficult because you're not in that frequency. And one thing that I've learned doing readings is that, listen, and I teach classes. You can go to the best classes, the best instructors under the mediumship umbrella, under the spirit world, and they can give you the meditations to do. They can give you all the knowledge which you need, right? And that's what I do, right? You need it. However, where we are right now, that's not enough to be able to connect with spirit or to increase your gifts or your connections with spirit. It's not enough. What you really need to do, and I teach this in my class, is that you have to become aware of who you are. You have to, what I it came from me. I created this. Is that the awareness to me is that you're able to stand behind yourself. In other words, see the back of your head, see the back of your body, and be the space in between you and what's going on until you hit that body, and be aware of what's happening. What that really means is to take inventory. Like what have you been holding on to? All this stuff, this junk that is stopping you from connecting to spirit. It's almost like fog in front of you, and you need to clear that fog. If you ever hear mediums say, meditate to unclutter your brain, that's part of it. But right now it goes deeper into that. It's not just about, and again, my experience in my classes that I teach is not just about what exercise, what meditation, what this and that. We need that, but it's more than that. That makes sense, Helix?
It makes perfect sense. Perfect sense.
It's about energy. It's about intent. All of that has to be part of your journey. If you want to connect better, you want to see more signs, it all is part of it. It's not just a one-shot deal that, okay, I have this great meditation, so I'm going to do the meditation, and then I'm going to have this epiphany, and I'll see Jesus in front of me and all the angels and everybody. Because I got to be honest, the class I just finished, the students were amazing, just really amazing, and one who is so connected. And she said in the class, one of the classes, Stephen, I've done classes, I've done this. I mean, she just went off, and I mean, the stuff that this woman has done, and then said to me, why am I not moving forward? Why do I feel stagnant? I believe, I know I can connect. I know my loved ones are out there. Why am I been stuck here for a period of time? And she said a long period of time. And that's when I just opened up that conversation about, it's because it's more than that. You get 100 on the piece that you've done, that the piece that you need to get to spirit, to connect to spirit in a better way, you get 100. You get 110. It sounds like you even have bonus points. But there's another piece of it that's missing, and that's where the energy comes in, and the intent comes in, and the awareness comes in, and the curiosity comes in. That's what you need to bring up to get to a place of really seeing your loved ones, seeing the signs of your loved ones, and just what a lot of people want. So it's not as simple as maybe it was before, but I think it balances out, because before, many years ago, I don't think the energy wasn't as abundant as it is, and sometimes as chaotic as it is. So the veil was much stronger. So you didn't have to do as much as what I'm saying, but it was harder because the veil was stronger. Now the veil is weaker because spirit is like technology and all the energy we're coming through, but it's all of that has added to connecting. So I hope I am making sense. Sound good, Elix?
It's super. I think it's so interesting, and as I'm listening to you, I wish I was part of one of your classes, because I think this is the kind of conversation that takes more than just one description. Like, I think it like, even as when you say learn to find, like, to discover you, right, and you describe how to, I'm left like, but how do I do that? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And I think there's many people like me, like we want to, but we're like, but I don't know how to do that. Like, what do we have to let go to sort of have that opening, Stephen?
Well, that's why I put my classes together. The introduction class, the intermediate part 1, my intermediate part 2 is going to be opening up towards the end of the summer. But I'm going to have these classes also on my website, so you can purchase them. If not, I'm not teaching them live. So say you want to do the intermediate part 2, part 1 will be on my website, so you can purchase it. But it is, there's a lot, Elix, and I love that you asked that. And when you said you want to take, you almost wish you want to be in my class. I'll bring you in the back room and give you a private tutor session. So how's that?
For free, I hope. Just saying, you better be for free.
After 30 years, you get freebies. But seriously, that's why I wanted to put these classes together, and that's also part of my journey, my story. Why in the world would I go for that many years? And you were with me, Elix, not having, and all my best friend Paul, my best friend Susan, they'll validate that. They never heard me say anything about a mediumship or being spiritual, because I didn't know. How did that transform, or how did that click? That then I went from not knowing anything about mediumship and not having any connection to doing, a venue of over 100 people, 110 people, 150 people, and doing readings on this platform, and having a radio show, and doing Steelix, and having a website, and doing readings almost every day. Something had to happen with me other than just being thrown in a volcano, and other than, I think, the medium telling me I'm a medium or a psychic started it, but I needed to really get that other piece going to be able to get where I am. That's why I love doing classes and get to share with people, because there's so many people like me that just are right on that. They're ready to take that step, and they just can't figure out how to get there. So Elix, I cannot believe the show is over. Tell everybody how they can find you.
Easy, at Coach Elix, anywhere.
That's easy. That's very easy.
Very
Me,
easy.
Stephen the Medium. Make sure you go to YouTube, my page, Stephen the Medium. Subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m., I'm telling you, you do not want to miss. The 3rd episode of Steelix the Series is being dropped. You don't want to miss that. Be there when it drops live at 8 o'clock. And I'm hoping that 7:30 tomorrow night we can just get on live and just get all excited about it before it comes on at 8 o'clock. Go to my website to book readings, whisper in a note, anything like that. And I thank Mark, who produces the show. He does his show, Mark's Jukebox, 3 to 5 on Wednesdays. Check it out. It's amazing. Lots of love to everyone who called, and Bernie and Paula. I love it. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.